All right, let's turn back to the White House and President Trump's decision to raise tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from 25 to 50%.
President Trump now doubling his punch on steel and aluminum tariffs.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America.
On June 4th, 2025, the United States imposed a sweeping 50% tariff on all imported aluminum, even from Canada, its closest and most reliable trade partner. At first, it looked like just another policy move. But weeks later, Alcoa, America's largest aluminum producer, sounded the alarm. 100,000 jobs were about to disappear. Not because of poor performance, not because of company failure, but because that single tariff made American aluminum instantly uncompetitive. Across Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, 20,000 smelter jobs vanished. Then came the collapse of another 80,000 positions in logistics, trucking, packaging, and distribution. Entire communities hit without warning, like falling dominoes. How does a country lose 6 figures of jobs without a single company going bankrupt? And more importantly, who's really paying the price when protectionism backfires? This is the hidden cost of America's aluminum war, and it's only the beginning. Because the ripple effects are already threatening to push out Toyota, Honda, and over 800,000 jobs tied to U.S. auto manufacturing. Hit like and subscribe. The story you're about to hear goes far beyond aluminum. Tariffs may block foreign competition, but they can't change physics. Aluminum smelting is one of the most energy-intensive processes on the planet, requiring around 14 megawatt-hours of electricity per ton. That's more than most households use in an entire year. And here's the problem. Electricity in the U.S. is simply too expensive. In Quebec, Canada, where most of the country's aluminum is produced, industrial power costs just 4.5 cents per kilowatt hour. In Pennsylvania or Texas, American smelters pay nearly double or triple that, ranging from 8.7 to 12 cents. So while tariffs raise the price of foreign aluminum, they do nothing to fix America's biggest competitive disadvantage: high energy costs. There's no federal plan for energy subsidies, no infrastructure investment, no incentives to modernize smelting technology, just a wall of tariffs with nothing behind it. As Alcoa's CEO bluntly put it, you can't restart a smelter with a promise. We need cheap, stable electricity. And without it, no tariff in the world can save American aluminum. Meanwhile, Canada isn't complaining, it's just quietly winning. Want to see how? Don't forget to like and subscribe. The next part is where the real takeover begins. While the U.S. struggles to revive its aluminum industry with expensive electricity and hollow promises, Canada never paused. It accelerated. Just north of the border, Quebec, home to over 90% of Canada's aluminum production, is running its smelters around the clock. Powered almost entirely by clean hydroelectricity and backed by decades of infrastructure investment, these facilities are delivering low-cost, low-emission aluminum at scale. As American producers shut down and workers are laid off, Canada stepped into the gap, quietly and decisively. In the first quarter of 2025, Canadian aluminum output surged by 12%, with most of that increase exported straight to Europe and Asia. These aren't just any markets. They're the exact clients the U.S. used to serve. But what's most striking isn't just the volume. It's the strategy. Canada didn't lash out. There were no threats, no counter-tariffs, no political grandstanding. Instead, it took 2 precise actions: filing a case at the World Trade Organization and expanding subsidies for green aluminum. That was enough. The message to the world was clear. If you want stable, clean, and affordable aluminum, don't look to America anymore. And the world listened. Global giants in automotive, aerospace, and packaging are now prioritizing Canadian supply. Not because of patriotism or politics, but because Canada delivers what the U.S. no longer can: consistency, cost efficiency, and clean energy. The aluminum war wasn't won in headlines. It was won in silence, by the country that simply kept producing. So here's the question. If Canada can quietly win the market without chaos or conflict, what exactly is America fighting for? This isn't the first time America has tried to protect an industry by building walls. And it's not the first time it's gone terribly wrong. Back in 2002, Under President George W. Bush, the United States imposed sweeping tariffs ranging from 8% to 30% on imported steel, claiming the move would breathe life into American manufacturing and safeguard domestic jobs. But the outcome wasn't a revival. It was a cascading collapse. According to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, those tariffs triggered a chain reaction that wiped out over 200,000 American jobs in just 18 months, a figure that far outweighed the total number of jobs in the U.S. steel industry at the time. And here's the kicker. The losses didn't happen inside steel mills. They happened outside, in industries that depend on affordable steel: auto parts, construction materials, machinery, appliances. For every one steel job saved, 8 others vanished. In states like Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana, the damage was swift and brutal. Small manufacturing plants collapsed under the weight of rising input costs. Companies that had been operating for decades found themselves priced out of their own market. Layoffs came fast. Entire supply chains withered. Small towns lost their economic lifelines. The policy that was supposed to protect American workers ended up punishing them. And now, in 2025, it's happening all over again, this time with aluminum. The pattern is eerily familiar. Tariffs go up, prices surge, demand falls, jobs disappear. But unlike 2002, today's stakes are even higher. The economy is more interconnected. Global supply chains are faster to adapt and quicker to abandon. Yet the U.S. is once again repeating the same mistake, raising trade walls without solving the root problem. America's domestic production is too expensive, especially when energy costs are out of control. There's no national energy policy, no investment in industrial modernization, no coordinated support to reduce the actual cost of making things in America. Just tariffs, just hope, just déjà vu. History couldn't be clearer. If you raise barriers without lowering domestic costs, you're not protecting the industry. You're isolating it. You're pricing it out of the future. So the question isn't just why this is happening again. It's why are we choosing to forget a lesson that cost 200,000 Americans their jobs the first time? When protectionist policies fail, it's not just factories that suffer, it's families. We've seen this movie before. In 2002, it was the steel users who collapsed. In 2025, it's everyday consumers, paying more for almost everything, and often without even realizing why. As aluminum prices soared, so did the cost of everything that depends on it. Cars, air conditioners, washing machines, canned drinks, packaging materials, all climbing in price across the board. The 2025 Ford F-150 now costs over $3,000 more than the 2024 model, despite virtually no meaningful upgrades. For working Americans, that price jump alone can delay or derail a major purchase, and the impact is already measurable. According to Nielsen 2025, 58% of consumers over age 50 have canceled or postponed plans to buy electronics and home appliances, a ripple effect that hits retailers, manufacturers, and local economies alike. Small businesses are suffering even more. Cabinet makers, custom frame builders, and local aluminum shops can't just pass on the extra cost. Their customers won't pay more, and so these businesses quietly shut down one by one. The tariffs were supposed to protect American industry. So why are American families and small businesses the ones being punished? It's not just about jobs anymore. It's about what everyday people can no longer afford. The pain didn't end at the checkout counter. As aluminum prices soared and consumer demand faltered, something even more dangerous began unfolding behind the scenes. A quiet but accelerating shift in the global supply chain. International manufacturers, from Europe to East Asia, began doing the math. The U.S. was no longer a stable supplier, not for raw materials, not for consistency, and certainly not for price. And without clarity on future tariffs, energy subsidies, or industrial strategy, companies were left with only one rational move: get out while they still can. So they did. Orders started flowing away from the U.S., redirected toward Canada, Australia, and Northern Europe. Regions with cleaner energy, predictable regulations, and no political chaos around trade policy. The choice wasn't ideological, it was operational. A Toronto-based aerospace distributor summed it up in one devastating line. We can't keep sourcing aluminum from the US. It's over 50% more expensive. That's not sustainable. And this isn't just about aluminum anymore. This is about reputation. America used to be the backbone of global manufacturing, a trusted node in the supply chain for everything from cars to planes to packaging. But now, with costs surging and trade policies swinging unpredictably, that reputation is unraveling. Suppliers are quietly walking away. Logistics firms are rerouting. Contract manufacturers are rewriting agreements, all to minimize dependence on a country that once anchored the global system. The US isn't just losing business, it's losing trust. And when your partners stop trusting your supply, your price, and your political stability, they don't just look elsewhere. They build their future without you. So ask yourself, if America is no longer the place the world turns to for stable, clean materials, what role is it playing now? Jobs are disappearing, prices are rising, supply chains are leaving, and through it all, it's everyday Americans who are carrying the burden. Factories are closing, small businesses are folding, families are paying hundreds, sometimes thousands more, for cars, groceries, appliances, and basic goods. Meanwhile, Canada didn't have to fight back. It didn't scream retaliation or escalate tension. It simply waited, with clean energy, stable policies, and quiet confidence, while the US unraveled from the inside. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Were American consumers, businesses, and workers ever consulted about this price they're now being forced to pay? Because if you're paying more at the dealership, at the grocery store, and in your electricity bill, you're already part of this trade war, whether you chose to be or not. So ask yourself, is this what protection looks like, or is it just the illusion of control in a system that's already slipping away? This is more than just a story about aluminum. It's about a country fighting to protect something, without ever asking who it's really protecting. And if decisions like these can reshape an entire economy without a single vote or debate, what's next? Is your job, your business, or your cost of living the next casualty of political theater dressed up as economic strategy? Let us know in the comments. Are these trade wars worth the price you're paying? If you found this story eye-opening, give it a like and subscribe to stay with us, because the next episode dives even deeper into the hidden costs behind America's economic walls.